Hello, this is Hebrew, and today we're going to talk about Skelcon and how to fix it. There's a lot of bare spots, his neck, his belly, and his back. You know, I just don't like all these bare spots shown on the figures. So we're going to use some balloons. 12-inch purple balloons work perfect for this. So you're going to cut them open. It was funny, when I was buying these balloons, I told the lady at the store what I was using them for. She looked at me like I was crazy when I told her they were for action figures. So if you buy these balloons, don't tell the sales lady you're buying them to fix action figures. Anyway, first you want to size up the balloon to figure out how it's going to fit onto the action figure. Mark off the spots with a marker so you know what they're going to be. And we're going to actually add a pattern to this balloon. Being that his outer clothes is like a fur type coating, we want to add some sort of pattern in order to fill in this area. So here I am marking it off, top and bottom. Now to make this pattern work really cool, we're going to actually blow the balloon up, put some air in it, so that the pattern will shrink down and look really cool once it's done. So let me go ahead and finish marking this area off, marking the bottom and the top. Make sure you mark it all the way around the balloon. You're going to find though, once you blow up this with the balloon, that those markings you made will be very faint. So you're going to want to take and redraw them again onto the balloon. You can see it takes a while to get it just right all the way around the balloon on both sides. Alright, now time to blow it up. Alright, so here's my blowing up balloon. I've already redrawn the lines darker. Keep the air in. Don't tie a knot. It'll make it too hard later on to work with this. But basically you want to make the pattern above and below those lines. So you can see his balloon stretched out as I start to mark this pattern on there. Just a bunch of V's all over the place to kind of simulate his fur. Just mark them all, fill in the whole entire area. Lots of V's. You don't want to be too consistent. In fact, you don't want to be that consistent. You want to kind of have a randomility to this as you mark it. Probably will get a lot of paint ink on your fingers in this budget. It's okay. It's going to be shrunk down once the balloon air is let out. So just go ahead and mark them. Have some fun. Be a little crazy with it. Now besides marking it in purple, as you see him doing here, we're going to also want to follow through with a little bit of black, just to give it a little bit of shading here and there. So use the black marker too. That will give you just a little bit of shading in those areas. Remember to mark, just if you can, just one side of the V's. Just kind of sporadically mark it. When it shrinks down, it will look really cool. Now after you mark all this, you are going to want to wash it with hot water. Get the water really hot in your tap and wash off as much ink as you can. Because when this balloon shrinks down, that ink is going to multiply in that area. And you want to make sure that we don't get ink all over the place. It can get kind of messy very quickly, so you want to be very careful when you're washing this. Alright, that's how it looks before I shrink it down. Off to go wash it. Okay, I'm back from washing it now. I'm going to do a little rubbing on it with some, well in this case it's toilet paper. Kleenex works good, or an old rag. You just want to get off any ink that might rub off later on. Now the crazy part is, even though I'm rubbing this all off and it's just about completely dry, the second I let the air out of that balloon, it's going to be all wet again because of the nature of the balloon being shrunk down. In fact, it looks like our balloon's dry, doesn't it? Okay, here we go. Let's shrink it down. And look, it's just soaked, even though I dried it off. And the bad part is the ink is just as wet again. It gets everywhere. It's a mess. Try to dab it as much as you can. You don't want to rub it too much. You're going to end up ruining the pattern you spent all the time putting on there. But look at that pattern. You can see it on there. I'm just going to wrap this right up and get some toilet paper just to get all that water off there. And that purple spot is just stuck on my desk. Alright, now it's just about all dry. You can see the pattern on that. See? Ta-da! Just make sure that ink is completely dry. If it's not, it's going to transfer onto the figure. You do not want that ink to get on your figure. We want to keep the figure as standard as it was before we got it so we can transform it back. Alright, now it's time to cut the balloon. Cut off the bottom part of the pattern. That'll make a nice even flow onto the figure once it's done. Otherwise you end up with weird little V's that are half showing and half not showing. Alright, you want to open up the balloon. Kind of stretch it out a little bit too as you do this. And just slide it up onto the figure from the feet up to the torso. Yeah, I got ink on my fingers. Now as you slide the second one, be careful in case some of that ink is still exposed. You don't want to have it rub off onto the figure, especially the white parts. You're going to tuck the corners of the balloon up under the shoulders. And once you get it up there, it will actually hold because it will go into the cracks where the shoulders go. It's a great way to keep the balloon in place. It is a little hard when you first set it up. I find it would take a couple tries to get it just right. Now this is the first time I tried to put a pattern on an actual balloon. I do this trick all the time with gold balloons and silver balloons, and I've done it with other purple balloons and lots of black balloons. And I find myself having the designs cut more than one. Being I put the pattern on there, I don't want to go through and remake the pattern. So even though this one fits a little tighter than I like, I probably should have made the balloon a little taller when I cut it. I'm going to make it work. Just do a lot of extra stretching. Rotate the torso around so you have a spot to grab on in order to get that balloon to go up under the seam. It might take a while to get it to fit all in place, but eventually it will fit all in place. Just keep trying until you have it. Alright, that looks pretty good. Let's see how it sizes up with the armor on. Not too shabby. Now let's go ahead and deal with the neck piece, because that neck piece is bare as well. I don't want to go with purple though. This time I want to go with black. So I'm going to grab a black balloon. I want it to be nice and dark and shaded in there. So I'm just going to cut off a piece, top and bottom, stick it over his neck. Now sometimes this works no problem, other times it doesn't. In this case it was too small, so we're going to get another balloon, cut a little lower, cut the top. Now it doesn't have to fit as tight as the bottom piece did, it just has to get on there so it's under the armor. That's all we're looking for. So it may not fit nice and tight the same way as the bottom one, that's okay. In fact, I found that after I put the armor on, I use a tool to carefully push the balloon under the furry cloth, I guess it's not white armor, the rubber cloth piece. So the main thing is just though it's covered with black, put the head on before you finish putting the fur on just to make sure it all lines up good. Alright, let's reclose the armor. I noticed the fur or armor, for lack of a better term, it did have some interesting things that most armors don't. It fits kind of tight against the other seam. It does take a little trick to get to fit in there. First you latch it, and then you push in the end, and it kind of stretches it out a little bit and pops her into place. It is a little tricky first try, but after you try a couple times, it does seem to work. Alright, there we go. You can see how the purple covers the front and the back. It's staying on, and he is set. Now the last thing we have to worry about is where that knife fits into the holder. It fit in really super tight, so now I'm going to take the actual holder and heat it up with a hairdryer. And this heating with the hairdryer will soften that plastic just enough so that knife will fit in there. The trick is to heat it from all angles. Make sure you also get inside the hole too. And just heat it right up so it's soft and pliable. Once it's reached that temperature of soft and pliableness, you're going to slide that little bone knife right into that, right into the holster. Knife holder, sheath. I guess sheath's the right word. Slide it right into the sheath, and you're going to find that once it cools down, the blade will be stuck in there first. Just give it a good tug and pull it out, and you'll see that now the sheath will be loose from this point forward. So it works really nice in order to sheathe that bone knife, put it right into place. Alright, and there we go. He is complete. You can see the spaces that are covered, and that is Skelcon fix.